People be asking me for directions like I live here. Oh wait, I do! Hey y'all, it's Thomasina. Welcome back to my channel. I cannot believe that it's 2020. So excited for this new year. I'm so excited to bring you guys more content. It's so funny because every time I tell someone, oh, I moved back to New York, they're like, why? It's kind of like I guess they say it as if you get out of New York, why would you come back? So yeah, I'm here. So if you don't know my background, I was born in Brooklyn and I moved to North Carolina when I was like 5, maybe, I think. I say I'm from New York, but I was raised in North Carolina. My family was still in New York, so we were traveling back and forth. Majority of my family is from New York, so I was just surrounded by that New York culture my whole life. So it's not like too new to me, but it's still like new in a sense. This is my story. So I graduated in May. I was going to University of North Carolina and I graduated in May of 2019. I had already decided at that point that going to grad school immediately after undergrad was not for me. So that just wasn't happening. And I hadn't been applying to like full-time big girl jobs during my senior year. Just because I had already had it in my mind that I was just gonna model. That's the only thing that I wanted to do. I wasn't thinking about anything else. So I hadn't been applying to full-time jobs. So finally, when I graduated, I was kind of just home for like 2 or 3 weeks doing nothing. I was just helping out around the house and reading. And now that I think back on it, I wasn't really doing much of anything. So that's because I wasn't doing anything. I needed something to occupy my brain. So that's when I started conjuring up all types of crazy ideas. One of those ideas being that I was gonna move to Los Angeles, California. So lo and behold, I got a notification that I had made it to the second rounds of this huge casting. And one of my friends just so happened to be staying in LA for that month. We had originally planned to stay in LA for a month together, but she ended up getting her life together before I did, and so she went ahead and moved out there for a month. And so once I got the notification that I made this call back, I hit her up and was like, hey, can I come stay with you for like 2 weeks, yada yada. She was like, cool. I was like, cool. Told my parents, booked the flight, and that was the end of that.
That's the coolest fucking story I've ever heard in my entire life. That's insane. Can I hear it again?
And so this is my first time in Los Angeles. Mind you, I've been to California before, but I've only been to Sacramento, never to LA. Got there and immediately fell in love. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the culture. Everything was, I like to call myself bougie, but everything was just like so bougie and uppity and like healthy and just industry like, and I just loved it. And I think I really loved it more so because I wasn't exposed to it as often, especially not in North Carolina. Like, you don't see stuff like that. I did a lot while I was out there. I did some photo shoots. I went to the BET Award, went to some castings and met with agencies and everything. I was doing a lot while I was out there. It's not like I was just being a tourist or whatever. I spent about 2.5 weeks in LA, and which felt like forever. Then I came back to North Carolina and I had already had it set that I was moving to LA. I hadn't even told my parents that this is what I wanted to do, but I was looking at apartments. I was already in touch with like potential roommates. I had already researched how much my current car insurance was going to be, how much it was going to cost to ship my car to LA. I had already planned all of this stuff out. Mind you, this was in June, July? I think this was in June, and so I had planned to make the move. I think I had planned to make the move in September, so that gave me like, maybe it was July. Yeah, I think it was July. That gave me like 2 months to plan it out, which was very, very short notice, especially with my parents not knowing. So finally, when I felt like I had all the information ready, I presented my idea to my parents, and they were not having it. They were not having it at all. It was a very, very long, in-depth conversation about how I was being irrational and how I wasn't really thinking my decisions through, and how there was so much more that I needed to think through, because we don't have any family in LA. And so for me, this being my first time out on my own, not including college, it was kind of like a big leap. And I wasn't really thinking about that. I was just so excited about being near the industry and being in that life. I wasn't really thinking about the background of it all. So they were like,
you don't have a job, you need to secure a job first, how are you going to afford to live out there, who are you going to live with, you haven't even met these roommates.
I had already established that there were 2 girls that I was going to move in with. Like, we had already planned the whole thing. One girl already lived in California, so she was going and looking at the apartments for us and everything. Long story short, my parents shut that idea down, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm not moving to LA. But I was like, I know I'm definitely not staying in North Carolina because I'm very bored here, and boredom does not lead to good things. And so I just knew I had to get out. So at the time when I thought that I was still going to move to LA, I was speaking with agencies that were based in LA and letting them know, hey, I'll be there in October officially, and that's when I can sign on or whatever. I was scheduled to meet with an agency in LA in October, but I had ended up booking New York Fashion Week, so I was going to be in New York. The LA agency had an office in New York, so I emailed them and said, hey, I'm going to be in New York for Fashion Week. Is it okay if I just meet with the agency in New York while I'm there, since I'm going to be there anyway, kill 2 birds in 1 stone? And they were like, yeah, sure, here's the contact, yeah, you can go this time, da. So in the midst of New York Fashion Week, crazy New York Fashion Week, I go to the agency and basically got signed on the spot. And so they were saying I had to pick a coast. So I had to either be based out of New York or I had to be based out of LA, because I could not continue booking work in North Carolina and commuting, because sometimes you have less than 24-hour notice if you have a job or not. And so the North Carolina thing just wasn't going to work out. So I had to pick a coast. And so because my parents had already canceled my LA dreams, I was like, New York is the best option. It's a quick commute to and from North Carolina. I have family up here, so I have support if I ever needed it. Most of the work that I had been booking anyway before being signed was in New York, so it all just made sense that New York was the place to be. So that answers the number 1 question of why did I decide to up and move to New York. It's because I ended up getting signed, and this is where I needed to be for work. So yeah, here I am in New York. It's been a crazy transition, but I'm very thankful for my family and my friends and just the support and the people in the background that have played a major role in me being able to be here. Yeah, that's just a little bit of background of how I got here in the first place, but I'm gonna make a part 2 answering a lot of the questions that I got about how I made this move possible. So I'm gonna be giving you all tips and advice about making a big move and moving out of your parents' home for the first time. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you like what you see. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Stay tuned for part 2 if you want to figure out how you can move to New York like little old me.